is Saturday, June 29th. I'm Yumna Naufal, and these are today's headlines. A delegation of Deir al-Fatwa headed by Sayyida Mufti Sheikh Salim Susan regained control of the southern city's Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. The Lebanese Forces Independent March 14 MPs announced their boycott of next week's three-day parliamentary session. And Syrian troops launched an offensive on several rebel-held parts of Homs, pounding the districts with air raids and mortar fire. A delegation of Deir al-Fatwa headed by Sayyida Mufti Sheikh Salim Susan has regained control of the southern city's Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. The delegation toured the complex that was damaged in the clashes between the army and the mosque's imam cleric, Sheikh Ahmed al-Asir, on Sunday and Monday. Asked by reporters about the discovery of weapons at the mosque, the Mufti replied, "We oppose the illegitimate arms and support the army. We demand a society of law and order." Commenting on the arrests made in the aftermath of the clashes, he said some of the suspects may be innocent. He then announced that the mosque will be reopened in the future and that Sheikh Mohammed Abu Zaid will become its new imam. Just to remind you, 18 soldiers were killed and 50 were wounded in clashes between the army and armed supporters of Al-Asir in Saida on Sunday and Monday. Speaker Nabih Berri, in a press conference from Ain al-Tini, said he is regretful that there are reports saying that holding the parliamentary session is related to the situation between the Sunnis and the Shias. But he said the Parliament's Bureau set the agenda of next week's session, where lawmakers will be able to vote on all draft laws, but nothing was approved as of yet. Berri added thereafter, and it was decided to extend the Parliament's mandate, that we should work hard on gaining the people's trust. He also added that the resigned cabinet works with limited jurisdictions and not the Parliament. The Speaker also added that President Michel Sulaiman informed him he intends to open an extraordinary round for the Parliament, but caretaker MP Najib Miati said there's no need to hold one. The Lebanese Forces and Independent March 14 MPs have announced their boycott of next week's three-day parliamentary session. MP Boutros Harib announced on behalf of the independent lawmakers their rejection of the Parliament's agenda and their questioning of the legality of the session. He explained that President Michel Sulaiman should have issued a decree to hold an extraordinary parliamentary session in light of the presence of a caretaker government. Under these circumstances, he stressed that Parliament should only meet in order to tackle urgent draft laws and not regular ones. The Independent March 14 MPs therefore demanded that Parliament's agenda be revised. For its part, the Lebanese Forces bloc later held press conferences to explain their position, deeming as illegal a parliamentary session that is held in the presence of a caretaker cabinet and which does not address urgent affairs. Progressive Socialist Party leader MP Walid Jumblat lamented the rise of extremism in Lebanon at the expense of moderation, he says, stressing the need to combat it through backing the state and the army. He said in a statement, quote, "The recent developments demonstrate that the spread of arms cannot be tackled through more arms, but through the return to dialogue." He also stressed that he rejected any unjustified attempt to tarnish the army's image. On this note, he rejected all sides that questioned the role of the army in the recent clashes that took place in Saida between the army and armed supporters of Asir. He also demanded that an investigation be launched into the amateur video that showed a group of soldiers humiliating, beating, and kicking a man suspected of supporting Al-Asir. Last night at around 10 p.m., Nasawiya, a feminist group in Lebanon, were holding a farewell party for one of their members. Their headquarters are in Mar Mikhael on the ground floor of a building. At the same time, Kataib MP Nadim Jmail was at Mar Mikhael having dinner. Reports claim that clashes erupted between members of Nasawiya and Jmail's bodyguards, and there are conflicting and completely opposing reports from both sides. Earlier today, we spoke with MP Nadim Jmail about the incident, and this is what he had to say.
Yesterday, my convoy was attacked by a group of undisciplined demonstrators using stones and sticks. And just for you to know that my security team took extreme professional measures to stop the attack. And as you know, and it's worth noting that our country is today going through a very critical political and security phase. And any minor incident like this one could lead to a larger ramification or any other complication. So we were obliged to take extreme measures to avoid unfortunate incidents. And that's what was done last night with utmost professionalism. And I can assure you that we made sure that no one was hurt in any way possible.
Right. Let me just say one thing. a lot of these, the reports that are coming out on Twitter, and I think we should address those, are basically saying that you were there having dinner. Am I correct?
Yes, I was in one of the restaurants, not in this one, but I was in a few meters
away from the Nasawi headquarters.
From where, yeah, exactly, from where the incident happened.
What they are saying that one of your bodyguards went in and not announcing himself and asked them to stop filming and taking photos as they were doing a farewell party. Is that true?
There was some picture. My convoy was being taken in picture. There was picture taking of my convoy, and one of my security team entered the restaurant and asked them, please don't take picture of the convoy. And as you know, you're a media team, and you know very well that...
Were you in the convoy, or were you at the restaurant?
No, I wasn't in the car. The car was parked.
Right.
And you know very well, as a media correspondent, you know very well that it's very delicate to take pictures of any security convoy. And when someone entered the restaurant where the farewell party was happening, the people knew very well that this guy was one of the security of the convoy. So even though he didn't clarify very clearly that he was one of Mr. X,
he didn't introduce who he was, basically.
Yeah, they knew very well that he was one of my security team.
However, how do you explain that one of the bodyguards pulled out one of their weapons and handgun and threatened the members? Is this true?
I don't know how much the threatening is true. However, I can assure you that when you have 30 people attacking a convoy, the guns, it's the minimum of what a security team can do by pulling out their weapons and pulling back all the people that was attacking the car by stones and sticks. And I want to assure you one more time that no one was hurt in any way possible. There was no fire. There was no.
According to many statements, they're saying that the police fired 2 shots in the air.
No, it's not my concern. If the police did something, it wasn't my concern. I know that my security team did a very professional work without hurting anyone.
They're saying that they do say that everybody went home safe, thankfully. However, all I wanted to get from you is basically why are they're saying that they did not attack, that demonstrations were peaceful. You disagree with that?
No, I don't agree with that. It's clear that my cars were hit by stones and sticks. It's clear. It's taken into picture, and we saw all the pictures are now in the hand of the police and the judge.
On the line with us now is activist Nadine Mawad. Nadine, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Nadine, can you tell me how the clashes started yesterday, please? Because we want to hear your version of the story now that we've heard MP Nadim Jmail's.
Well, we completely reject all of these lies that are being circulated by the team of Mr. Jmail. We did not attack the convoy with sticks or stones or bottles like was reported in the media.
But how did it, tell me how the clashes began exactly? Like, what exactly happened? You were at the farewell party, and then?
We were throwing a party, and we are not a restaurant. We are an activist organization, and this is our headquarters. This man came into the place and said, you have to stop filming because no reason. And we said, who are you? And he said, it's not of your concern, just stop filming. So we saw that the road was completely blocked outside with cars, and we went outside to see who is this person. Immediately, they started cursing at us and talking to us like dogs and telling us to go inside right now. It's none of our concern. And we asked, what is this, a convoy? He said, this is an MP convoy.
Did you know at the time that there was an MP there, or did you just think that these were just security guards attacking you, or did you know that there was a politician who was perhaps maybe looking for his own sake and his own safety?
We did not know at the beginning what was happening because they refused to tell us, and it is our right as citizens in this country when someone who is not wearing any security clothes comes in and
tell
says,
you, explain. Okay.
I'm blocking the road in front of your space.
And basically saying, Nadine,
I'm not going to tell you who I am.
I know that you're. I just want to.
He had pulled a machine gun.
Right. I just want to interrupt you for one sec because I know that there have been very recent developments as of today because you were at the police headquarters. And can you tell us what those developments are?
We went to the police headquarters this morning after we were held inside the space for over 3 hours last night, as the media spread lies that 50 men were attacking the convoy. We were 12 young people, men and women, and we did not attack. We are peaceful activists, and our history and our credibility shows for this. We do not have sticks or stones. We didn't attack anybody. All we wanted to know was, who are you? Within 2 minutes, they had pulled machine guns at us. We went inside and waited for 2 hours for the police to clear them. By then, supporters of Mr. Jumayel had gathered and had thought that we were attacking them and wanted to attack
What
us.
happened? What happened this morning at the police station? What did they tell you?
We went at 9 a.m. in the morning,
okay,
and we underwent investigation, 7 of us, and we told our stories and we showed our photos, and the footage shows, and the entire neighborhood witnessed what had happened. And we asked the police, we went through the official channels with our lawyer, and we wanted to hold Mr. Jumayel and his bodyguards accountable, and I'm very surprised that he shows absolutely no intent of accountability.
Well, Nadine, what do you think is the
happened.
solution to this? What do you expect right now?
Right now, 5 people, they detained the men and they let the 2 women, myself and Farah Salah, they let us go. They forced us to leave. We didn't want to leave. And they did not clarify for us why they put our friends, 5 men, 5 young men, in jail. And up until this minute, we can't get any information from the police. We don't know what the charges are. And these men are basically held there. And right now we are gathering in front of the police station in Jumayel to protest this totally arbitrary violation of our rights. Not only were we attacked and terrorized and guns pointed in our face for the first time in my life, but also we were being held and questioned, and we pressed charges against these people, and we hold Mr. Jumayel personally accountable for what happened, and we ask him that he has to...
Thank you, Ms. Mawad. We're going to follow up on this issue. Thank you so much for talking to us today and telling us your side of the story. Coming up next, the Obamas meet with relatives of ailing icon and anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. An American was among 3 people killed in Egypt as clashes erupted during rival demonstrations for and against Islamist President Mohamed Morsi a year after his election. The U.S. citizen, a 21-year-old who reportedly worked for an American cultural center in the coastal city of Alexandria, was killed as he took photographs of a demonstration. In the canal city of Port Said, an Egyptian journalist was killed and several others injured when unknown men threw a small explosive device at an anti-Morsi protester, a security official and witnesses said. Clashes also erupted in the Nile Delta provinces of Dakhaliya and Bahira, and across the country over 130 people were wounded. Syrian troops launched an offensive on several rebel-held parts of Homs City, an NGO said, pounding the districts with air raids and mortar fire. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said warplanes carried out 2 consecutive raids against areas under siege in Homs City, as well as carrying out heavy shelling against the same districts. The group said regime forces were using mortar shells, rockets, tank shells, and heavy artillery in the assault. Observatory Director Rami Abdurrahman said troops were trying to storm Khaldiye and that fighting was underway around the old city. Homs, the 3rd largest city in the country, was one of the first to join the revolt against President Bashar al-Assad's regime more than 2 years ago. A security source in Damascus confirmed fierce fighting was underway in Homs City. Now for news around the world in brief. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry cancels a visit to the UAE planned to redouble his efforts to revive the peace process between Israel and the Palestinians. Kerry, who had been due to hold talks over dinner in Abu Dhabi on Saturday, will instead spend his 3rd straight day shuttling between Israeli leaders in Jerusalem and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Amman. Kerry, on his 5th trip to the Middle East in as many months, is trying to restart direct Israeli-Palestinian negotiations that broke down nearly 3 years ago. Turkish security forces killed 1 person and wounded 10 when they fired on a group protesting against the construction of a new gendarmerie outpost in Kurdish-dominated southeastern Turkey, according to a Kurdish party lawmaker. Turkey's main Kurdish party called earlier in the day for marches in 3 major cities this weekend to launch a summer of protest aimed at raising pressure on Ankara to carry out reforms under a peace process with the PKK. U.S. President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama are meeting with relatives of anti-apartheid hero Nelson Mandela, but they will not visit the hospital where the former South African president is critically ill, according to the White House. Obama could be seen arriving at Pretoria's Union Building ahead of bilateral talks with South African President Jacob Zuma. The two leaders are set to deliver joint statements later today. This marks the end of our bulletin for now. Let me remind you of our headlines. The delegation of Dar al-Fatwa, headed by Sayyida Mufti Sheikh Salim Susan, regained control of the southern city's Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. The Lebanese Forces and Independent March 14 MPs announced their boycott of next week's three-day parliamentary session. And Syrian troops launched an offensive on several rebel-held parts of Homs city, pounding the districts with air raids and mortar fire. Those are your headlines for this Saturday. Join us again tomorrow for what's making headlines around the world and in Lebanon at 4:20. Have a good weekend.
كل الناس تتحمل مسؤولية الكارثة الإنسانية اللي راح فيها سيدة. نحن بدنا البيت، بدنا نروح